So there were times in the middle where I didn't have money to pay even one employee that we had. We only had one employee at a point in time, and we didn't have money to pay that person. We'd have to push it for months and months, and then constantly having to do that. I think that was the more challenging part. Nothing even comes close to. I mean, earning good money, learning new things, everything is, it could be a second aspect of it, but just being able to see that the patient's surgery went well. I've seen the smile on my designers' faces, and that's the best thing ever. Of a 6-month-old child who had a very complex congenital heart defect. And that child was rejected for surgery pretty much everywhere. And no one had done 3D printing in cardiology here in India before. So the surgeons and the medical team, everyone was looking for some solution somewhere, because they had seen 3D printing in USA, but they hadn't seen it being done over here. So they had reached out to us, and they said that if you could give this a shot, the child will be operated for surgery. Otherwise, again, they will be rejected. So considering that this was the best alternative, the surgeons and we, both of us, were willing to take that risk. And we learned the software, learned how to read CT and MRI scans, did the conversion to 3D models. And based on that model, the surgeon decided that the best possible repair is possible for that child. So wow. Patient who was rejected everywhere was accepted for surgery over here with the best possible planning. Since 2015, April or May. Yeah, April. So it's been over 6 years now, and the child is doing really well. So yeah, I guess that's where it all started.
We do this by working directly on the patient's CT and MRI scans to extract patient anatomy and 3D print this model, which provides the medical team more information about the patient. This is then also used to design various customized medical devices, such as perfectly fitting implants and pre-planned osteotomy guides, together allowing a precise surgical outcome for the patient.
So all of these fall under our ISO 13485 certifications that we have. So all of this was learned on field itself. There was back then nothing academically available, but we are trying very hard so that we can try and get this into institutions for the students to learn on. And just as a small starting step, we've also launched a course which is available online, probably the only course in the world that could guide them into understanding what kind of challenges they can face in the future, just to get the students interested. And if it is genuinely something that they would want to explore, eventually we can have this incorporated inside colleges. Setting up point of care labs, which are basically micro labs within hospitals itself, where we have the designer, where we have the software, where we have the 3D printers, not the industrial scale, but at least the small scale ones. And we have direct access to the surgeons. So we've tried to cut down a time period of almost 48 hours or more to less than 24 hours. Because of which even cases which are in maximum emergency can also be considered into 3D printing phase. Many surgeries will require 4 to 5 hours maximum for emergency cases. We are trying and working towards getting that done as well. Hopefully with the 3D printers getting as fast as they are, that will also be a potential future. But right now from 48 hours, we've come down to bringing it to 24 hours. That will come down to bring to 18 hours, so on and so forth. And that is a way of scaling up, because more and more patients will be operated at those locations, and more patients will benefit out of it. And at the same time, we will get more cases to work on. There's one cadaver, and there are almost 30 to 40 students surrounding that dead body, trying to learn, trying to understand what kind of muscles and arteries and all the doctor over there is showing. So that is technically a scenario out there. And plus, getting cadavers is an ethical issue as well, not very, very easily available. Two dead bodies will never have the same kind of a defect. They will always be different. So one student learning here and the second student learning here, if it's any kind of a defect anatomy, they will always learn two different things. When teachers are teaching, they will probably have to again customize their training to be able to match those two cadavers. And so procedural training for such defect-based anatomies becomes difficult. So that is where we come in, because we work majorly on defect-based anatomy, where the bones are either malformed or trauma, or there is a tumor. Similarly on the soft tissue anatomy. And with 3D printing, the best part is that you just design once and then you can manufacture as many times as you want. So with that, you can take one anatomy, you can take one procedure, and the teacher can teach the students this particular procedure on the bone models or on the soft tissue models. Each student gets its own model, and they get that individualized, personalized practice on those models. So we are also trying to work towards getting these models as realistic to natural anatomy as possible, because I said 3D printing is not at its maximum peak yet. There are still some limitations. So we are trying to work towards getting it to the closest realistic model possible of the anatomy. And yes, we also conduct these workshops where surgeons train on one particular procedure to these residents or students. And we want to take it to the next level by going lower in the education, this thing, where they are still MBBS students and are learning on anatomy. So we want to now go towards that phase as well. Whatever we do, it's majorly on polymers and metals. So they are still artificial substances in a way. The future of this, where a lot of researchers around the world are also working on, is biopolymers and biological composites, or directly from the patient stem cells, which falls under tissue engineering. So now what this means is that the 3D printers can be used to print out these polymers, which are biodegradable, which can be used as an implant in the patient. Over a period of time, this implant will disintegrate, and it would have allowed for your original bone to heal back in itself, take the position of the implant that was there. So now all of this, until our last few years, used to be in animal trials. It has now gone into clinical trials on the patients. Another 5 or 6 years is my assumption till this this first stage of biodegradable implants or more natural implants come out into the market. Going to the next step, there is a lot of research happening in the world wherein they're taking stem cells and differentiating them to the kind of organ that they would want the stem cells to grow into, with the help of a lot of growth factors and other composites. And the idea is to be able to 3D print these cells in the shape of whatever anatomy that you're manufacturing. Now, this could be a heart, this could be a kidney, this could be a fragment of the liver. And all of these are happening today in small segments. So like 96 well microplates, wherein they're having a small organoids, wherein the pharmaceutical analysis of the drugs that are being developed today, they are tested on these 3D small constructs. So before they go in for human clinical trials, they can know at this stage itself whether the drug is working or not working. So eventually the testing on humans or on animals can be reduced. So right now, that is the stage where it is happening. But maybe 20 years, 30 years, 40 years down the line, there is a possibility that we will be able to make fully functional organs in a lab, which would be patient specific. So that basically means that we might not need organ donors someday. And as a biotechnologist 6 years ago, this is what had fascinated me. And over a period of time, this is where we'd want to root anatomize as well towards making these organs or fabricating these organs in a lab. If things do work the way that we are envisioning it to, and yes, I'm sure even here, as we discussed, there will be multiple challenges in the roller coaster ride. But if that happens, then pretty much all the biomedical engineers have a potential of entering into this field, probably even with us. Now, if that happens, nothing like it, and I'd like to wait to see that happen yet. But that is how big this industry is, considering the population of our country itself.
Not to mention the globe.
Not to mention the globe. And the best part about 3D designing and 3D printing is that it allows for centralized design and localized manufacturing. So designers could be sitting anywhere in the world, or say just in India, and there could be 3D printers locally anywhere in the world where the printing could happen. So the potential is huge for the entire world, from different companies to come in and take a small pie of the big pie that is there. So hoping someday that scale is reached where all of us in the industry, be it our company, be it other companies in the industry, can see it reach its maximum potential.
very inspiring what you're doing, and I wish you Godspeed and the very best in life. And one day see Anatomize 3D, do an
Thank you.
IPO and all that good stuff.
Thank you. Thank you so much. That means a lot.
Thank you. Please pass on my good wishes to your brother also,
Yes, my brother and my partner both. I will do that.
your partner as well. Thank you.
Yes. Yes. Thank you.
Thank
so
you,
much.
Firoza. Take care.
Yes.